Hi. I can see some people. Yay, I'm glad it's working. This is new technology, so I'm glad it's working. I've never used StreamYard before in this way, so this is going to be an experience. We'll see. Is Anansi, can you share the link in our mentorship program, please? I don't see where I can actually share the link. I see invite. Let me see if I can get some of it, but I don't know if it's really going to let me share it how I want to. But if you can do that for me, that would be great. Give some time. We got 8 people in here already. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited, guys. This is my first big live. We're going to give people a few minutes to get in here, get the links all posted. Hello, hello. So if I don't say your name, it says Facebook user and not actual names. So I can't see your names. So if you do comment, say, hey, this is, and whatever your first name is or whatever you would like me to call you. And then that way, when you say your comment, I can actually say your name because it's not going to tell me what your individual name is. Thank you, Phasia. I see that you're posting it. I love you guys so much. While we're waiting for people to come in, there is a couple things that I want you guys to do. If you're not already in our Orisa Hoodoo group on Facebook, add yourself to that. Hi, Tracy. If you are not already following my business page, it's Enchanted Vibes. It's got like purple letters. My name on Facebook, hi, Priestess. My name on Facebook is actually Bulma Johnson, Bulma. That is not my first name. If you know, you know. So if you go to my Facebook, it's posted on there. But Enchanted Vibes is my personal page. I'm also on YouTube. I'm about to start my live stream on YouTube here in a second. I'm just trying to get this link so that I'm trying to see if it'll let me go live on YouTube at the same time. I might have to do 2 separate ones. I can't sign into my YouTube from here yet. You hear that theme song? I love my theme song. Let's see. I can't mobile stream, so let me see. It takes 24 hours to load your lives on YouTube. So that's interesting. I can go live on Facebook though. So let's do that. Let's try that instead. I didn't know that businesses can't do that right away. So now we know. How many people we have in here? We've got 10 now. Let's see if we can get a few more people in. Okay, so I'm live on my personal page now. Let's see if I can share this link. Technology is weird when it comes to these things. Only lets you do certain things. Is there anybody who wants to join me on camera or that can join me on camera at some point? I don't want to just sit here and talk to myself and see myself. See your faces too. Hi, Darina. Hello, cousin Ray. Hi, Chad. Sorry, it won't let me go live on you. Hi, Tiara. Tiara, I'm going to see if I can at least add you on Facebook. Or can you, Tiara, can you request to be added and then I'll approve it? Because I know that you wanted to talk. Hi, Monte. We're doing this on both sides now. I see somebody with a Russian name. So, hello. Hey, whoever just put a heart. Let me see if it let me show your name. No. If you are commenting from the stream, from StreamYard, it just says Facebook user. I will not be able to see your name. So please make sure that you say your name if you make a comment. That way I know who I'm talking to. Hello, Jeff James. Okay, so we're going to just go ahead and get started. So today we're talking about generational curses and what they actually are and what you can do to overcome them. Some people have seen the meme, I'm sure, where it says, why do I have to be the one to break all these generational curses? Because you're doing things that never have happened in your family. You're graduating high school, you're graduating college, you're making it out of high school without a child, you're getting married, buying houses, all these types of things that just have not been done in your family. And it can be really stressful, honestly, if depending upon your family, especially if they're not supportive, it can be a lot. So this is just like an open discussion about some of the things that everybody has dealt with, and I want people to either comment about things that they've gone through, or if you can get on camera if you're watching on StreamYard. That way it's more of an open discussion. And Tiara is on here. Approve. Oh, it says, Tiara, you don't have the latest version of the app to join. That sucks. Try it on StreamYard instead, Tiara. So is there anyone in particular, if you can post it in the comments if you don't want to be on screen, but is there anyone who has a recent experience with a generational curse in their family? I see Crown Me Lioness. You said breaking generational curses has left you feeling like a burden or feeling burdened. But I can see how both of those could happen, honestly. So Crown Me Lioness, if you could expand a little bit more as to what kind of curses that you have personally experienced in your family. Tiara, I'm sorry, baby. Let's try it. Let me see. Approve. It still says no. It was doing the same thing when I tried to join Tommy's live a few days ago. Hello, Starbright Child from Dallas, Texas. Okay, so Crown Me Lioness says she learned how to heal childhood wounds. That's a good one. So one of the things that come up with generational curses, one of the big ones that we really don't talk about as a community, is how we discipline our children. We had this conversation in our coven a little while ago about how how we react out of anger to our kids is a much, much deeper, deeper thing. Um, as some of you know, slavery in America sucked. And one of the things that happened when we were first brought over here is, there was a lot of abuse. And even just for looking at a white woman, you could get beaten. So it was kind of like an instant reaction type situation where you didn't even know that you were doing something wrong. You didn't know why it was wrong. You were just instantly beat. And the first reaction was anger. It wasn't from a place of understanding. It wasn't from a place of love. It wasn't anything like that. It was just instant anger. And so sometimes we continue that actually in modern times. It's been, a few hundred years, but we learned that as a reaction. And so we created that reaction with our children. So sometimes they do something that children do, something that is natural, and we just snap on them. That's one of the ones that I think is one of the biggest ones that just isn't talked about, is how we discipline our children is something that we learn from masters because we were beaten. To them, they weren't our parents, but that was a figurehead for us. That was somebody who we unfortunately looked up to. And so we learned to discipline how they disciplined us. And when you see how white people discipline their children, now sometimes when their kid is yelling and they, just let them yell, that's a little bit different. We're not talking about that. We're talking about how they just interact with their children, period, and how they teach children how to grow and be better through their mistakes, as opposed to how we do it in our community. So it's not, if you've been in close contact with a white person with children and you've seen them interact with your children, you can definitely see the difference in how they talk to them. It's a lot of sweetheart, baby, honey. It's a lot of that. Whereas we are kind of like, sometimes we curse at them. Sometimes we call them names. It's a lot. And it can be very, very damaging to our children, because that also affects their confidence. And then they get scared to make mistakes. And that affects them in other ways too. So that is an example of a very deep generational curse that's more ingrained in us as a whole, as a society. It's not just one family that's like that. It's our entire community that is like that. Let's see. One of the biggest ones in my family is simply acknowledge the curse, but never make any actual changes to them. Making the changes after acknowledging the curse is the curse. I'm proud to say I've broken. Yes, that's also a problem. You realize that, something has been happening in your family for generations and generations, or as far back as we know, but nobody is willing to make the change to stop doing it. College is one of those things. You've never seen anybody in your family go to college. Why would you think that you can? Or how are you going to pay for it? That's a big thing. It's more of money is a generational curse in ways, and lack of money can be a generational curse. And I'm sure we all know why that is. I've been working on my anxiety. That's one of my family's generational curses. Yes, mental illness, addiction, those are also generational curses. If you grew up in a family full of drug addicts or a family full of alcoholics, it's really hard to not fall into that particular type of lifestyle. I personally, a lot of you know me in real life. I personally have had to deal with a lot of alcoholism and drugs in my family. And I don't do either of those things. Like right now, I haven't had any alcohol since the end of September. That's mostly because my ancestors said stop drinking. Not because I had a problem, but there's things that I wanted. And so the price for the things that I want, they said, if you want these things, you need to do these things for us. And so not drinking anymore is one of those things that I have to do personally to get the things that I want. That's my payment to my ancestors. But it's also good because that is breaking one of the curses. When I say a lot of alcoholics in my family, I do mean a lot, um, a lot. So I'm not going to name any names because I don't want anybody to be upset, but there definitely is a lot. And all I saw was people drinking alcohol, and it was normal. I didn't see, I did see a couple people do drugs, but it wasn't like anything like super crazy. But alcohol was a big thing in my family. Everybody drinks. Some of them aren't alcoholics, but everybody drinks. And so seeing that all the time, I saw it all the time, but it's not something that I wanted to do because it can easily get out of control. And I didn't want to be in a situation where I wasn't in control of myself, and I didn't want my kids or, my grandkids or people around me to feel how I felt as a kid watching it get out of control, if that makes sense. And so I just chose not to ever take it that far. And if you've ever seen me drink, you know that you've never seen me drunk, ever, ever. So there's that. No male role models, no community, emotional incest, rape, molestation, mental illness, poverty, no feminine energy in the females. So that is a lot, but those are all very good. We'll start with the no male role models thing. We all, if you're Black, you know, as you know, all the things, is all the reasons as to why there's a lack of male role models. And that started with after slavery. They basically said the men have to leave the home in order for you to attain certain things. The men can't be there, and so that is part of it. Um, they would take our men, put them in jail, murder them, and then so we just had to get used to raising our family without the men, unfortunately. Um, and so that created a whole lot of masculine women. I'm one of those. And my mom was one of those. My dad was definitely in my life. But my mom is one of those. My mom grew up having to take care of a lot of situations that she shouldn't have had to take care of as a child, because she was still a child. And I was born while she was still a child. Um, so that is definitely one of those things where we had to be everything. A lot of women they pay the bills, they make the money, they make things happen. If you have a strong matriarch in your family, um, you've probably experienced that. It may be your mom, it may be an aunt, your grandmother, somebody like that, where if they don't make stuff happen, stuff don't happen. Um, so that's one of the things for sure. Um, we'll talk about the sexual abuse because I think people like to overlook that, and we're not going to overlook that at all because it's important, and it happens way more than people would like to think or talk about. So, to my knowledge, I have never been sexually abused or molested. However, that is not the case for people very close to me. And again, I'm not going to tell other people's story. However, sometimes that is an effect of someone else being molested. So the victim um, becomes the the abuser at some point. If you've been following the situation with R. Kelly, that was what happened to him. Him and someone in his family abused him sexually when he was a child. And so he learned that behavior as a child. And then even though he knows how he felt, it was still became normal to him. And it just sucked in general. And we all have heard stories about what he did. And if everyone knows that I'm a big fan of Aaliyah, I named one of my children after her. Um, and that is a situation that came from that. He married her when she was a child. He got her pregnant, and he definitely abused her to the point to where she wouldn't even tell Dame Dash about it. And she loved that man. So it's definitely one of those things. And like I said, way more people have been sexually abused. They don't want to talk about it. And way more men have been sexually abused too. And I don't want to overlook that either. Men who become abusers often more often than what we think, were actually abused as children because they learn the behavior somewhere. I think we all, if you're over like 35, you remember watching cable and you come across those little wavy channels that you're not supposed to watch. Or if you had the good cable, you came across the real channel that you wasn't supposed to watch late at night. So that's different from seeing that type of behavior and learning it that way, but then learning it to act out on somebody who is not willing to do so. That's a little bit different, but it is definitely something that, in most cases, I'm going to say is actually a learned behavior, not because they just saw it somewhere. Domestic violence is definitely one. Chris Brown is an example of that. Chris Brown grew up in a household where his mother got beat. And so he grew up not necessarily thinking that it was okay, but it was so normal. It became a normal reaction. Like, oh, you pissed me off, I can hit you. That's definitely how you can do that. Curio Queen, there is an option. Oh, that's Anansi. There is an option somewhere to join. I don't know. Let me see. If I hit invite, it just, yeah, that invite thing is just the link. Let me see. I can change it to like a group layout, but I need someone to request. And I don't know how to do that. Priestess, if you're still watching, if you can make a comment into how to request, I will do that. And yes, Seneca, you said most were abused by other men. Yes, that is also true. Women are definitely and can be abusers as well, but it's definitely a case where it was a man abusing. They were abused by another man somewhere in their family, unfortunately, which really has a whole other situation that leads into that. Let's see. Let's see another example. Let's see if I can find one more example. Poverty is definitely a generational curse. When you've never had money, you've never seen anybody have money, you've lived in the hood, everybody in your family has lived in the hood, and you can't even begin to fathom how to get out of the hood. And I talked about this on my YouTube channel. I have a video called Read a Damn Book. And in the video, I talk about how as kids, we are made to believe that being smart is lame, especially if you grew up in the hood. I don't think white people do that, honestly. Not really. Maybe if they're like more like a hillbilly, I guess, type of white person. But that's like something that's rampant in the Black community. When you're a kid and you're smart, you get teased for being smart by like your entire, not your entire community, but way too many people in your community will tease you about being smart. And that's just absolutely crazy. So then you go to school and you're thinking, well, how can I, get out of the situation I'm in, but not let people know that I'm smart? Because you're afraid and you're self-conscious. And part of that is also to do with your upbringing as well, because you want to do certain things, but other people limit you with their own thinking. I know personally, I wanted things as a child that did not happen because of someone else's lack of understanding. I wasn't able to do the things that I want to do because I was a child. And so I needed some type of encouragement, sometimes money to do the things that I wanted to do, but I couldn't because someone else's lack of understanding created financial issues for me as a child. We didn't have a whole bunch of money. So that was also an issue. So I want to hear Lack of knowledge itself has been occurred. Yes. And again, that has to do with the whole reading thing and just learning in general, learning about other cultures, learning about other religions. Um, Sometimes religion can be a generational curse. If you're been Christian your whole life, your whole family's Christian, and then you hear about voodoo or hoodoo or Ifa, and you end up in a situation where you cannot um, you cannot feel safe in the things that you would like to explore because people are going to call you demonic, or they're going to think you're crazy because you see spirits. They're going to say there's a demon in you, all types of that. So religion also can be, in a way, a generational curse when anything that's going to stifle you and keep you from being your greatest self. So if we can start posting in the comments about ways that you have overcome a generational curse, or specifically a generational curse in your family that you were like, nah, we're not doing that anymore. Crown Me Lioness says, yo, yes, I agree with you. The Chris Brown and Rihanna situation, that particular situation was the one we all found out about, was a little bit different because she did hit him first. Um, and it became a fight. Not saying that he had to, do what he did, but that particular situation, yes, she did start that particular one. Hi, Lauren. My sister is watching. Hi, my sister. Corey. Hi, Christina. Darina, if I didn't already say hi to you, hi. I love you. And Amber, I'm not sure if Amber's watching, but I hope she is. So, has anybody broken a generational curse yet in their family? Let me see. Anybody went to college for the first time, or the first person to go to college? And you can kind of put hi Michelle. You can kind of put how difficult that was for you if you have. Anybody bought a house for the first time? Okay, here's one. So Addie says, having children in teen years, it runs very deep, and I knew that it was something I was going to break with my girls. My daughter is 25 and hasn't had a baby. That's great. And that's part of it's parenting. Part of it is luck of the draw. That's another thing with parenting too. You can't control your children. And as much knowledge and wisdom and safety as you try to get them, as much as you're trying to shelter them, once they get beyond a certain age, it doesn't matter anymore. Period. But yes, having a child that doesn't have a child as a teenager when your whole family did that is definitely one. I was like that. I was one of the few. I was the first one in a long time on either side of my family to of the close family. I have some outlier cousins, obviously. But I was the first one in a very long time to get married before I had children. Um, I was married for almost 4 years. My son was born 2 days before our 4-year anniversary. Um, so I was the first one to get married first. I also got married as a teenager. I got married at 18, and I was legally married for almost 16 years, which is, I think, the longest time. We were actually actively married for 14 of that, which I think still is the longest amount of time that I'm aware of that anyone in my family and my immediate family was married. So that's something that I wanted to do differently. And now I have a sister who is going to college. She will be the first one in a long time in our particular part. I think she might be the first one ever. She's going to have a degree here in a couple months. I'm so proud of her. Hi, Auntie Paula. She's going to have a degree here pretty soon, and she will be the first one of us to have a degree that and did it in the right way. She's going to have a degree without having a child. My grandmother did have a master's in microbiology, but she had her first child when she was 13, with a very, very, very much older man. So that was something that my sister did differently, and she was really on a mission to that. And I'm extremely proud of my sister. If she's still watching, I love you, sister. Um, my mom was actually the first one um, to do a couple things, and she wasn't. It wasn't like she was the very first, but the way she did it was different. Um, my mom, got married after she had me, but she got married. She got married to a man with a really good job, a stable person who, wasn't abusive or anything like that. And then they had a child after that, and they were married for a while after that. So that was something that my mom did do different that she didn't really have good examples of because her parents weren't married. I didn't even meet my grandfather until after I was already an adult. So that was something that my mom definitely did different. Hi, Dora. Nichelle has substance abuse, drug and alcohol. I watched what it did to my family, aunts, uncles, cousins, and refused to go down that road or let my child endure that life. That is amazing. Alafia, Miss Matthews. That is that is a big one. Substance abuse is a big one. If you can make it without doing, crazy drugs, that is fantastic, especially when you've seen them. Um, and again, alcohol, it's okay to drink and have a drink. Nobody cares about that. But when your kids are coming in the house and you're drunk naked on the couch in the middle of the day, that might be an issue. I won't tell you whose story that is, but if they're watching, they know that's their story. Um, it's someone that I'm very close to. So yeah, it's substance abuse is one of the biggest ones. And if you can, or at least seek help when you realize that you have a problem, that's a big thing. That's another thing that's a curse, not going to therapy. Our community does not go to therapy. My God. It's like the sometimes it's like the worst thing you could even suggest is to go to therapy. Please seek therapy. So, for those of you who don't know, I am in a coven, and we do workings and stuff. I post my workings and stuff all the time. And I did make a post a couple days ago because I felt it was necessary. Magic is not the solution for everything. Some of your issues need therapy, honestly. You really, really do. Um, some things just need therapy. There's no way around that. Some things are way too deep. Some things you don't even know why you're doing it. Something happened to you when you were a child and you didn't realize the effect that it had. I'm going through that right now. When I got separated from my husband, it was that part wasn't rough. That was the easy part. But having to deal with all the things that I bottled up inside and just held on to for decades. And some of the things I didn't find out until afterwards. And so I'm still having to deal with things that are triggers for me for anxiety or depression, that I didn't know even existed. Now, would I like to go to therapy? Yes, I just need to find one that my insurance will take care of because therapy is expensive. But it's not lost on me that that is super duper important. Certain things, you can't self love some of those things away because you truly don't know what they are. And talking to a professional, hi Xander, talking to a professional may help you get some of that stuff out. Yeah, I see. Drugs is another big one. Drugs and poverty are probably the biggest ones. Drugs, poverty, and I'll say child rearing, period. How we decide to have children, when we decide to have children, who we have children with, are all symptoms of that. How do I manage anxiety and depression? Uh, um, now it's much easier because I have a religious backing. I pray all the time. I'm in contact with, my ancestors. And so when I need advice, I may go to my altar crying. Um, but then I get, advice from them as to how I need to move forward. So that's just me personally. But before I had like a that type of relationship where I could understand them, I dealt with it by not dealing with it, which was very unhealthy. Um, and so now it's more of I let myself be alone sometimes. Sometimes you have to let yourself feel those emotions and try to understand what is triggering that emotion. Like, what's the real reason? If you can figure out the real reason yourself without therapy, that's great. But you really have to sit with yourself and sit with your issues and dig deep and really figure out why this is happening. Why do you feel this way? Is it because of the relationship with you and your mother, or the relationship with you and your father, or whoever raised you? Is it because of the relationship with you and a sibling? Um, a lot of the self confidence issues, or not feeling worthy, or not feeling like enough, or feeling like you're doing something bad, or that no one loves you. A lot of that stuff comes from childhood. And you really, either something has to happen and it clicks in your mind, or you just have to sit with yourself for a while to figure that out. There was a conversation that I had with someone in my life about a year ago, and that really triggered it for me as to why I felt a certain way about myself, why I felt like I wasn't enough for certain things, why I am such a, I don't know what the word is, but like a high achiever. That's not the word, but if you've worked with me, I do the most all the time. Especially if you work with me at the current job, the restaurant that I'm at, and you've worked with me for a few years, I do the absolute most all the time. And I have a very high expectation for myself and those around me, especially when I was a manager at that place. I had very high expectations. Like, if I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I'm not doing. And so I need you to do what I'm doing. But that's also, it was a trauma response. And I didn't really realize it until later on, is that because as a child, I felt like I wasn't enough, or I wasn't doing something right, or I wasn't given the encouragement that I actually needed. Um, I felt like I always had to do more, like, see me. Like, if I do all this, will you see me now? Like, if I do this, this, and this, do you see me now? So I that was something that definitely I am still working through. So it's not even really managing. It's just trying not to feel that way. Trying not to um, give in to those negative thoughts about yourself. That's the hard part. And if someone is telling you that you're doing a good job, believe them. If someone is telling you that you're great, that you're handsome, or that you're pretty, believing when people give you compliments, that's another hard thing, but you have to start doing that. So that might be a way to help you manage it, is that you don't even let yourself get to that point, because you're like, hold on, I'm awesome. What? And sometimes I have those moments where I'm like, Psh, I'm awesome. I don't really care. Um, but sometimes I do still give into that. So I can't really say that I'm 100% managing it, because I definitely still have breakdown moments, but can't remember last time I had a panic attack. So that's great. And I also have a really good partner in life who I know if it gets too bad, I'll send a text or I'll call, and he talks me down a lot. He hears all my crap, and it is really nice to have a person who will love you through your crap. It doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic person. It could be a friend. I have my wives, Amber and Darina, which I don't bother them as much as I could. And I'm sure they would not even, I know they wouldn't even mind if I called them with some crap, just because of our relationship. But I also have them where I know that if it's a lot, no matter what it is, I can go to them and they will at least give me words of encouragement. And sometimes you don't even always need advice. You just need someone to tell you, like, hey, I love you. And that works too. So if you have someone in like that in your life, you may need to be a little bit more open with them than what you currently are about when you're going through stuff. And sometimes I do feel like I'm burdening him because he hears most of it. Sometimes I do feel like I'm burdening him with my crap, because sometimes it's a lot of crap. And then he always assures me that I'm not, but I still kind of feel that way inside my head. My husband tells me all the time I'm doing good, even though I don't see it, but I accept it. And now I actually see how good I'm doing daily, spiritually and mentally. Yes, sprinkle of light. You also said I put faith and gratitude every day now. Yes. Seeing Being able to look at the great things about yourself is a way to overcome that particular feeling of depression and anxiety. Hi, Tim. Hi, Marijuana. Hi, Kevin. Chad, being a business owner of my own business is the first in the family. Running my jewelry stores, Airbnb, and catering, all something I can pass down and have the whole family get a piece of. Yes, and Chad, I've known you for a long time, and you're always reinventing the wheel, kind of. So, kudos to you on that. Yeah, and I also encourage anybody who, if you can start a business or if you have a dream to do a business, start that business. It'll be something that, bare minimum, if it's not something you end up leaving to your children, it's at least something that makes you happy, and it's not working for someone else. If that's not truly where you feel your heart is, some people are really great employees, and not everybody is meant to be a business owner. But I think a lot of people do sell themselves short with thinking that they cannot do it and not having family support. Um, and I will tell you from personal experience, family support is not necessary. And that sounds absolutely crazy, right? But if you wait on your family to support you, you will never do anything. And part of that is that generational curse. Maybe if you were white, your family would be more supportive, but you're not. And you have to just do better and be better for yourself. And don't expect your family to share your posts. Don't expect them to buy anything. Do not expect them to believe in you until you've made it. And almost every person who is successful now in business will tell you that they did not have a whole lot of family support. They may have had one or two, but not a whole lot. And I can tell you right now, from, like I said, from personal experience, that's not a thing. Because I guarantee you, most of my family hasn't subscribed to my YouTube channel. And I have like 80 maybe subscribers now. And I can't see the names. on all of them, because if you have your channel private, it won't show it. But I can guarantee you most of them are strangers, people from Facebook, people from Instagram, people who, Googled a video and one of my videos popped up over the last week or so. And so they subscribed because they like the content. Has nothing to do with them actually knowing me in real life. So please, 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 if you have a dream, do not wait on your family to help you with that dream. You have to do it yourself. So Nichelle, I haven't done this in years and no one instructed me to do this, but I found comfort by going into my walk-in closet, kneeling and covering myself with a large scarf. Does that sound weird? No. My husband looked at me like I was crazy, so I haven't done it since, but I immensely felt relaxed. No, keep doing that, Nichelle. Absolutely. Absolutely keep doing that. If it gave you peace in any type of way and it's not hurting somebody, do that. Keep doing it. Go do it as soon as this broadcast is over. Or the next time you feel anxiety or frustration, go do that. That could be something that your ancestors are trying to tell you to do, or the entities around you. There are other good ones. So that could be something that is just helpful for you, like meditation, but in a calm way. The first thing in getting over generational curses is recognize them. Yes. Curio Queen, type in the type of generational curses that you're breaking now. I think I know a couple, but that's because I know you. Anybody else have an experience breaking a generational curse, like going to college? I want to see. I know there's some college educated people on here, so I want to see what your experience was. I did see the one about breaking the habit of having children early. That is a very good one. My family is my least supportive, but I don't care. I'm gonna still do me because I believe in me 100%. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, Chad. You have to believe in yourself. Like I said, most of the time your family won't do it. My kids believe in me. And I won't say that your family doesn't believe in you. But they have their own demons that they're dealing with. They have their own traumas that they're dealing with, and they are not really going to be receptive to you because they're dealing with their own crap. Crab in a barrel mentality. Put a bunch of crabs in a barrel and one starts to climb up, the other ones will pull it down. When really, if they just helped each other, they would all get out of the barrel, at least most of them. But they'd rather claw at each other instead. So that is definitely a situation. Anansi, did you figure out how to join me? Because I can't. Yeah, I can't request I can share the link from here, but then it's taking forever to load in all the other places. And I can't even sign into my Facebook from my laptop. I got locked out. So that's fun. Okay, Facebook user. I can't tell what your name is. So you went to college, you got married, you had a child after you got married, you moved out of your hometown, you started a business. The way you're raising your children, I'm assuming, is childbearing. So you've done a lot, and that's awesome. I think marriage is another one too, especially in our community. Getting married and staying married is definitely, when you've never seen that happen, it's kind of hard to do it. And your examples of love may have been very, very distorted. And so you may not know what a real relationship is supposed to look like. When you don't see your parents argue and then all of a sudden they get divorced, which is what some family situations are like, that that can actually not be helpful. Or when you don't see the struggles that your parents go through, or they don't explain the struggles that they're going through in a way so that you, or they don't prepare you for struggle, when they are too busy sheltering you and they don't prepare you for what real life is like, that can definitely impact you as an adult, because now you don't know how to deal with certain situations because you never saw them. I've broken generational cycles of abuse, having children early, not getting married, lack of college education. Now I'm working on breaking the curse of not fixing relationships with family. That's a good one. A lot of times the dynamic in families is consistent throughout the generations. It's always, I don't want to say always, but it's definitely a common theme for mothers and daughters not to get along. Either they're best friends or they don't get along, period. It's like one or the other. There isn't really anything in between. Hi, Greg. There isn't really anything in between. Either, and why they don't get along usually is because the mother in this situation didn't get along with their mother for various reasons. So they don't know what a healthy mother-daughter relationship looks like because they've never seen it. Now, are certain things still their responsibility? Yes. But we do have to take that into account. I have to take that into account when dealing with certain family members, is that they haven't seen a positive reflection of certain relationships. And so I have to come from a place of understanding when I deal with them. And that's my version of at least helping to break the curse. Hey, Prince. That's my version of at least helping to break the curse, is being more understanding of what other people are going through and not judging them for it, and not not being aggressively negative when they act in ways that I don't agree with. Um, so that's definitely relationships with family, and healing them is difficult. It's something that you have to work on all the time. I had to pray the other day about a relationship with a family member because it's a lot. It's always been a lot. And we go through these ebbs and flows where everything is good and then everything is bad, to the point to where um, I I sound negative when I don't mean to. Like, they'll ask a simple question and my immediate reaction, "Hi, Sunny." My immediate reaction is negative because I feel like they're being petty or something like that. So that's something that I have to deal with on a regular basis, is trying to navigate this very sensitive relationship with someone that I love dearly, immensely, but we have they have some things they need to work on. I have things that I need to work on. I can work on my attitude and how I react, my tone, and they have some things that um, they need to work on as well. But we have to acknowledge that, um, and that person needs to acknowledge that too. I'm sure if they're watching this, they will hopefully do so. Um, any other specific generational curses that you have broken in your family, and how did you break them? Yes, that's my relationship with one of my brothers, and I'm praying for both of us. Yes, prayer. Who, it doesn't even matter who you pray to. It really doesn't, because if you believe it, then it's real. So if you're praying to God, if you're praying to Jesus, if you're praying to an angel, if you're praying to a saint, if you're praying to an Orisha, if you're praying to a Lawo, yeah, whoever you pray to, um, if you're praying to your ancestors, whoever you're praying to, um, that is that is going to help you a lot. And sometimes just saying it out loud, even if in a room by yourself, saying it out loud will um, help you immensely. I have to charge it. I have to plug in my laptop. I'm going to grab my cord. Give me like 2 seconds. But while I'm grabbing my cord, post in the comments um, things that you have overcome personally in your family, or things that you would like to overcome, or if you want me to give you advice on your particular situation, put that in the comments. I am going to grab my charger because I forgot to plug this in. Okay. All right. All right. I'm back and I'm plugged in now. Okay. Let's see. We don't have any new comments. Is that all y'all wanted to talk about? I know y'all have more that y'all want to say. There's no way. There's like 20 some people on here right now. Let me see if I missed anything. Nichelle, you're joining from Facebook. So, however you're seeing this live, tag me and we can talk about your particular situation. Or you can inbox me. Again, my name on Facebook is Bulma Johnson, Bulma. And my YouTube channel is Enchanted Vibes, Spiritual Readings and Wellness. And as of tomorrow, I'll be able to go live on my channel. I'm really upset about that because I've been talking about this for a week and can't even do it because of how YouTube sets it up for businesses. So I'm upset about that, but it's okay. And then if you're interested, again, I practice Orisa Hoodoo. So if you're interested in learning more about that, we do have a Facebook page. Some of you are watching it from the Facebook page right now, but it's called Orisa Hoodoo Coven on Facebook. So join our group. There are some questions. Please answer all the questions so that you get approved to join the group. And then you can kind of get some more information there. We also have a community outreach program for those who are really looking into starting to practice. And it goes from people who are experienced to people who know absolutely nothing. They've never even read a book. So that is an option. Spelling it, yes. Thank you, Face. I see where somebody put it in. It's Bulma is the first name, and then Johnson is my last name on Facebook. And no, that is not my real first name. It's a nickname from someone. His name is Vegeta. His name's Vegeta in my phone. So if there's no other questions, we've been on this live for an hour. So thank you to everyone who has been with me this whole time. I really appreciate you. Thank you to everyone who commented. Oh, I found a new comment. I also think that I broke the generational curse of being closed minded and stuck in a religious environment. I don't think people realize how that in itself can be a generational curse. And the longer I'm on my journey with my ancestors, the more my family members are coming around. Yes, that one. And it won't even just be your family, it'll be your friends too. Yes, Nichelle, that's how you spell it. Um, your friends too. I have people who have watched my journey over the past few years, and now they're actually starting to start their own journey because they see me doing it and they see the difference in me. If you knew me 5 years ago, I'm a completely different person for the better. um, but I'm definitely a completely different person. If you knew me in high school, I'm different from, thank you for the follow, Nichelle. Um, I'm definitely way different. Um, I'm not as quick to anger. I am more nurturing of those around me. I always kind of was, but I was more like a momming thing where I was momming them, but not in the good way. It was, do you know that person that kind of yells at you and tries to discipline you like they're your parent? That was me. That was definitely me. Because again, I have expectations for myself. And when people around me don't have the same expectations, it really is, it was hard for me. Now, I don't, I don't really give it as much attention as I used to. Um, Hi, Darina. Yes, Darina said, I knew you then and I love the person you're becoming. Thank you. I'm glad other people noticed because it definitely wasn't easy for sure. The change is not easy. None of the women in my immediate family have been married or has a successful marriage until recently. Growing up, there were no men around, so I was brought up to be strong. I was brought up by strong women who taught me to stand on my own. Now, my most recent ex told me I don't know how to submit. Shaking my head. I am told too often by men that I am intimidating, etc. I don't know what to do about that or if I even need to do anything about that. It's so frustrating. So I can't see what your name is because it's not showing up. But um, yeah, same. Very, very, very same. I I have problems with submission. And although in many, many ways I was a excellent wife, there were definitely times where my uh, my persona was very big and kind of overshadowed him. And so I can see how that could be something that he would say that would be negative about me. Um, and it's completely true. Like there were times where I was just too much because I had so much masculine energy because I had to. And it's not because I didn't have like a dad or like my whole family is men. My whole family is men. And I think that's part of why I had so much masculine energy. My grandma um, was the strong female of the family, and she had two sons and a daughter. My mom was the daughter, and my mom has a whole lot of siblings, like a ridiculous amount of siblings, over 20. Thanks, Grandpa. But um, but everybody else is like men. I have a lot of uncles. I have a lot of older cousins who were men, and I was kind of like, because my mom was the only girl, and then she had a girl, me, and so I was the only girl of the only girl, and so in certain ways that was great because we were very protected, so to speak. I think I was more so protected than my mom was, especially in certain situations. But the men in my family were like, there's still ones where if something happened and I called them, they're coming right now. Um, and that is, so there's just a lot of masculine energy around me. So when it comes to relationships, first of all, when I was a kid, there was no successful relationships. Not really. My mom was the first one to be, married for a long period of time, but because I lived with them, I saw the dynamic in that relationship. And my mom had a lot of masculine energy because she had to. And so that created issues with her and my sister's father. Not because she wouldn't submit or anything like that, so to speak. I don't know everything because I was a child, but I could see now as an adult how she felt she had to handle things a certain way because of how she viewed relationships and how she viewed life. And then I very much did the same thing, and it can be intimidating to some men when you have a woman who doesn't want to um, doesn't ask you to pay bills all the time, doesn't ask you for money, doesn't ask you to get their nails done or their hair done. Not that there's anything wrong with those things, but for a lot of men, when if they can't be that provider, then they have a negative reaction. They think there's something wrong with you because you don't want to take. Um, and that's part of their own issue. So I wouldn't say that there's anything wrong with you. I would say try to find ways where you could be softer. Try to find compromises more. Um, Next time you get into a relationship, accept help if it's offered and you genuinely need it. That type of thing. But I wouldn't change completely who you are, um, especially not for a relationship. But the first I in the relationship I'm in now, that's the first time I've ever been able to submit to anyone. And I don't want y'all to say anything about being a weird way. It's not anything like crazy or anything like that. He's not any type of abusive to me at all. Um, like we don't even really argue at all. We have important, deep conversations that need to be had, but it's not. We don't sit there and yell at each other and all that stuff. We don't do that. Um, and that's probably part of the reason why I can submit to him, because we have real conversations and adult conversations about real things, and I acknowledge his feelings. That's another thing we have to do as women, which is part of our problem, honestly, is that we want a man that has feelings, but we don't want him to really have feelings. Which is not okay. Men are people too, guys. Um, so whenever he's telling me about something, how he feels, I have to sometimes just be quiet and not give a response, because not everything needs a response, especially when someone is telling you about their feelings. If you try to negate their feelings or say, okay, I understand, but that's something that you gotta stop doing that. And women are terrible at that when it comes to men. We want them to be all lovey-dovey and all up under us, and we want to be able to tell them all of our problems, tell all of our work stress and how our friends stressed us out and everything else, but we don't want to hear that stuff from them. And that is a problem that we need to fix. We do need to be a lot more understanding and supportive of our men, and understanding that they have feelings, um, and really respecting their feelings, regardless of it's about us or not. Um, so that would be my advice. But like I said, I can't see your name, but that is that is something that you could try to work on. But again, I wouldn't change who you are as a person, because you're probably a great person. You just have to work on more of a compromise and being more understanding, and it may be a little less aggressive. That's something I've had to learn too, is being less aggressive with trying to get my point across, trying to make sure I'm understood, all of that type of stuff. Do you think that contributes to some men taking advantage of us also? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. A lot of times, where if you are in a relationship with a man who is like a provider type mindset and you need assistance and they give it, and so then you kind of become dependent on them, and they know that. And so they will use that as their advantage. Like, you ain't gonna leave me because I do this, this, and this. So I can go over here and do what I want. And yes, and again, all of that is still part of generational curses, because that's what you see, that's what you saw growing up, and that's what you think is normal. And it is normal, but it's not okay. I'll say that, because it happens a lot where it is normal, but that doesn't mean that it's something that we should continue to do. Um, So same person with the previous comment, I'm a Virgo, so I'm so nurturing, but I don't really need them as far as dependence. And I try to allow him to be a man in a number of ways, but it's still something that they can't handle. So I completely understand this part. I uh, really am nurturing and loving in the relationship that I am in now, but I don't ask him for anything. I don't ask him to pay bills. I don't need him to pay bills. I don't need him to give me money. I don't need him to do anything financially for me, period, because I run this. So, that being said, I don't ask for help in general. And if you know me, you know. Hi, Nautica. If you know me, you know that I'm not that type of person. Even at work, like if I ask for help, I will damn near drown before I actually ask for help at work. Like, I could be busy running around doing 10 different things at once. You need help? Nope, you stay over there. Because if you get in my way, I'm gonna be pissed off and have an attitude. I got this. Um, I'm that person. And so I kind of have that mentality where I don't need anybody. And uh that's definitely something hard to try and, again, accept help when you do need it. But if you don't need it, don't start becoming a damsel in distress just to get a man. um I would never, 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 ever encourage anybody to do that. um but yeah, that's a hard one. I completely understand that, because I am very much, very much, very much like that. Like, all I want you to do is love me, be honest, and, be loyal and respectful. That's what I need from you. And if I have an issue, talk me through the issue, have a conversation. But I also am not the kind to ever be dependent on anyone for anything. And part of that is a trauma response. And I will readily admit that, is that I don't depend on people, because I've had situations where I depended on somebody to do something they didn't, and I still had to do it by myself anyway. So now I just don't even ask, because if I don't ask, I can't be disappointed, right? Trauma response. Um, which, I mean, could also be kind of like a generational curse, because I saw my mom do lots of things without, from what I saw, help. And so I felt I needed to be that way. And I think I took it to the nth power. um, Especially in my marriage, I took that to the nth power, to where I'm there wasn't I allowed my independence made him a dependent. I'll say that, because he just knew that I was going to take care of it regardless. Um, he knew that no matter what happened, I'm going to take care of it. And so that put him in a situation where he felt like he didn't have to take care of certain things. And over the course of 14 years, that really was one of the many downfalls of our marriage. And it's not a knock on him. Um, we have a really nice co-parenting relationship, um, actually. But it's just one of the many things that led to the downfall of my marriage, is that I was so independent that I created a dependent in my husband. Unrealistic expectations, yes. Let's see. Oops. Support is a reciprocal thing. Balance, yes, absolutely. With the person I'm with now, I do kind of, I don't want to say I unload, but when things happen, he knows about it. There's not a thing that goes on that he doesn't know. And there's a lot of things in my past that I haven't told anyone. Like when I say anyone, I mean absolutely anyone. Um, but he knows them. Um, and so, and there's things about the past few years as I've been going through my trauma. He's really helped me with a lot of that. And if he's watching, I love you. um, but I know it's a lot sometimes. But in the same thing, when it's time for him to talk, I let him talk. I let him have feelings. Um, I let him request things of me. I ask him, what do you need from me? Because I know that's not something that females are very good at doing. I never saw anybody in my family doing that, and that was part of the problem with relationships, is that they were in some cases emotionally one-sided, and you cannot have an emotionally one-sided relationship. Hi, Tobias. You can't have an emotionally one-sided relationship. That is not going to work. You have to give and take in equal amounts. Reciprocity. Thank you for bringing that up, Mrs. Matthews. Balance. As women, we do need to do better about emotionally supporting our men. And we're used to not seeing them have emotions. Most of us, if your father was in your life, you probably never saw your father cry unless someone died, or you didn't hear your father talk about feelings. For men, you may not have been regularly hugged or kissed and loved on by your father. I know some men have broken that curse and have really made it a point to love on their sons, and I think that is absolutely fantastic. And also, as women, we need to stop being so upset about having daddy's girls. I was a daddy's girl. My daughter is a daddy's girl. And I'm very, very glad that she is. I would never want to interfere with the relationship that they have with their father. It doesn't matter that we're not together. Um, are there things that he does as a parent that I don't like? Absolutely. But he is still their father, and I think it's important that we stop trying to interfere with the relationship and the dynamic that the other parent has with their children once the relationship no longer works. That's a whole other conversation. Maybe that'll be the next live. Give me ideas for the next lives too in the comments if there's something you want to talk about. Maybe not today, but at some point. Put that in the comments so that I can look at that and definitely keep that into account. I'm the same way. Oh my God, I have a hard time accepting and asking for help because I'm not weak in my perception. Yes. Yes. And it has nothing to do with you actually being weak, but it is a perception. Do you think suicide is part of generational curses? Seeing what happened to Regina King's son recently, I'm confused because how could she have a seemingly good life and her 26-year-old son commit suicide? And right around the time that she's finally getting her flowers in her career. Mental health is definitely real, and to be Black in America right now is beyond hard. But her situation feels to me like something else, like a generational curse. I don't know her and have never met her, but yeah. So I didn't even hear about Regina King's son. So I don't really pay attention to things. I'm either in my mentorship program, helping in the mentorship program by volunteering with the program, or at work. You all know me, I have like 17 jobs like a Jamaican, or I'm studying for something in my mentorship program. So I didn't hear about her son, and then that's unfortunate. So prayers to her and her family. But yeah, mental health is a very, very, very um, not talked about thing, and especially when it comes to black men and black women, because women, we are expected to be strong. Um, there's We're expected to just deal with outrageous circumstances and just smile and be happy about it. But men are too. That definitely goes both ways. And I won't say that one is more pronounced than the other, because they're so prominent in our community that I'm not going to try and negate someone else's experience or their trauma, because it's a lot. It really is. But yes, that is mental health issues for sure, and not being able to feel like you can talk about what's really going on. When we separated, my son had a really, really hard time, and I put him in therapy immediately. Immediately. Hi, Chris. Well, hi, Vincent. um, I put him in therapy immediately. Um, we are in, I live in Ohio, and my kids go to Worthington schools, which is like a suburb. Their father and I, we went to Columbus City Schools. Back then it was called Columbus Public Schools, and they are trash. um, there are some problems with the school district that, if you know, you know, financial issues, staffing issues, so many problems in the district. And I didn't want my kids to go through that. And I put them in a better school district. We moved right before my son went to kindergarten to do that. And he's in a really nice, it's still a public school, but he's in a really nice school. The teachers really care about the students, the principal cares. And they saw that his behavior started to change, immediately put him in therapy. And so that he wouldn't have to feel like he had to pick between the two of us and have these conversations, immediately put him in therapy. And I don't care. And he can talk to that therapist about whatever he needs to talk about. He doesn't have to tell me. So giving our children an outlet, is a way to kind of help with that, because I didn't want him. At some point, he did feel like our separation was his fault, and it completely had nothing to do with our children, at all. It had nothing to do with a third person. Like, there wasn't, I won't say there wasn't any um, unfortunate situations. That's what we'll call them. But at the time of our separation, we didn't separate because one of us cheated. That wasn't why we separated, and that wasn't the underlying cause of any of our issues. Infidelity was not the issue. There was several other issues. But my son felt like it was something to do with him, and it 1000% was not. And so I put him in therapy, because I don't want my son or my daughter, I don't want them to feel like they can't talk to someone. So if it's not me, if I'm not the most appropriate person for them to talk to, I want them to talk to their dad. And if they don't want to talk to him about it because it's really something between the two of us and they don't want to feel like they're picking sides, I absolutely, absolutely want him to talk to a therapist at school or in another setting. Um, so we have to start encouraging that in our children, to talk about it and let them have feelings. I actually ask him on a regular basis. There's other situations going on right now, and I ask him all the time how he's feeling, and if there's something that he needs from me to make sure that he's okay. So we do have to start doing that for our children, for sure. My mom taught me and trained me to be independent as a little girl. So there's nothing wrong with being independent. But I think sometimes we don't know how to turn it off. As women, we get so used to um, providing for ourselves and taking care of ourselves all the time that we don't know how to shut that off and allow someone to take care of us in certain ways. It doesn't always have to be financial, but financially is the biggest one. Like, if I ever get to the point where I allow someone else to have say in my finances ever again. Oh, that's growth right there. I don't know if I'm ready. I'm not ready. I don't know if I'm ready for that right this moment. That is growth. Um, do you believe that psychedelics can help people with depression? Yes. Yes, they can. It really just depends on the person. I don't do anything, but I understand why some people do, especially if you're in a situation where you were abused um, as a child and you need something to kind of like not remember, not really not remember, but just not feel that pain because you haven't had therapy. I encourage therapy. You're on my Facebook, so I'm looking at this, Jay. Um, yeah, I think therapy will help with a lot of that, but therapy is expensive. It's not like readily accessible. So, in the case of marijuana, yes, I think that can help because it at least will calm your mind to a degree. As long as you're not one of the people that gets paranoid or anything like that, I personally don't. Um, I don't foresee that as being an issue, especially when you have other health issues and you can't take certain medications. So, like my kid's father, he's bipolar, but he's also diabetic. So, they won't prescribe him certain um, medications for his mental health because it could affect his type 1 diabetes. So he he at some points smokes. He doesn't have an issue as far as smoking. Like he's not high all the time. He's not the type of person that gets high and can't function. Um, but it helps with his mood tremendously. If you know me in real life, you know some of the stories. He was never physically abusive, but there were instances where he had mental health situations, um, and it would have been way more had he not had some type of small outlet to kind of help even what was going on. And a lot of that was his own trauma. It had nothing to do with me. It was his own trauma with situations that he grew up in, um, and just trying to figure out how to deal with that. I think sometimes I don't think it should be an escape. I don't think it should be um, a way to not deal with what's going on. You still need to deal with it for sure, but I think it can definitely be a little bit helpful in at least getting you to be able to function because um, I know for sure that it's very hard for me to function some days. And if you know me, you know some of the things that I have had to go through. And there's a lot of things that no one knows except for my person. He knows everything, like I said. So there are some days where it's really hard for me to function. Like getting out of bed is an experience for me. It's hard. But some days I wish I did partake just so that I can, get out of bed. Um, but yeah, specifically regarding like marijuana, I don't think that's a problem. Yay for therapy. I put my daughter in therapy when she started having behavioral changes, and it was so annoying. I just learned how to put comments on the screen, guys. It was so annoying how family and friends kept saying, "Ain't nothing wrong with that damn girl. You need to beat her." Beep. She's 5. Right. I'm gonna lead back into that again. I believe in discipline and redirection, but I refuse to beat my child to death because us Black people swear by abuse. That's one generational curse I choose to break by going hands off. Yes. Um, and I kind of talked about that earlier. I'm not sure if you were on the broadcast when I talked about that, but yes, the way we discipline our children has absolutely got to change 100%. The way we talk to them, the way we yell at them, the way that we punish them, all of that is learned behavior from generations of abuse, hundreds of years of abuse. Um, so yes, I applaud you for putting your daughter into therapy. And I applaud you for taking a different route and not beating a 5-year old. Because some adults, think about how stupid some adults are. Why do we expect tiny people who can't even tie their shoes to do certain things? That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. We need to do better as as a community about how we parent, for sure. Um, because yeah, when you start noticing certain behaviors in your children, a lot of school districts have some type of free counseling. And if they don't have it within the school, they can recommend a program based on your insurance, because most children have insurance. Thank you, Job and Family Services, depending upon your state, to where they can get therapy. We need to start putting our kids in therapy, period, point blank. Because there's always a situation um, that we don't really think about. But if I had gotten therapy as a child, I might be a whole different person for the better. I wouldn't have these same experiences, but why would you want struggle? Oh, you have to struggle to learn. No, put your kid in therapy, please. Please, please, please put your kid in therapy. Um, Narcissism and narcissistic behavior, how to overcome trauma from dealing with the narcissist partner. That was a life-changing event for me, and I'm sure for others. I will put that in my notes. Um, that is not something I have personally experienced, but I will definitely do that as a live where people can like comment and stuff. I'll be able to do YouTube live tomorrow ish. I didn't realize there was a 24-hour rule. So I will definitely probably go live for my personal YouTube to do um, that, at least for my personal one, well, my business one, and not so much the whole network. Um, because yeah, I could see how that would be very important. I know some people who have been through that. I just never personally have, but I definitely see the effect that it had on my friends, and it was crappy. So yes, I will add that to one of the list of topics. Speaking of diabetes, do you believe in Dr. Sebi's diet cure? So I'm not one of those people that reads into everything that becomes popular. However, I have heard some things in passing, and I will say that when it comes to food, again, something that our community is terrible at is what to eat and how to eat and eating properly, proper diet in general. Is it okay to have fried chicken every now and then? Yes. Do I love ham? Yes. Bacon, all fatty fried things. Yes, I'm definitely still going to eat some of those. However, um, we have to remember that everything that we need on this planet was given to us already. So it doesn't matter what your religious belief is. Um, all these plants and fruits exist so that we can eat them. We don't have to find 15 different ways to fry chicken, um, and only focus on that when we have all these vegetables and fruits that have just been given to us by our creator, whoever you choose to think that your creator is. So I don't know specifically about his diet cure. And I know how I usually, when people are talking about diabetes, since you mentioned that, they're talking about type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is where your body still makes its own insulin, but you're usually overweight. And so you're your pancreas has a little bit of a harder time, but it does still make its own insulin. And so you usually just have to, you can eat your way out of type 2 diabetes by eating healthy fruit, eating fruit and vegetables more, and less carbs and things that would turn into sugar inside of your stomach, or as they digest. Type 1 diabetes is where your body makes no insulin whatsoever. So it doesn't matter. You can eat all fruit and vegetables. Your body's still not going to produce the insulin that it needs. So depending upon which one you're talking about, I do believe that eating fruit and vegetables can cure type 2 diabetes. Hi, Roxanne. I think it can cure type 2 diabetes. I don't think it's going to cure type 1, but again, that's something that's a little bit more in depth. It could cure type 1. I don't know. I haven't done the research. And like I said, I haven't looked into it, but it's definitely something that could. But as a community, we do need to do better about what we feed our children, and how we raise them to eat in general. What we raise them on. Definitely. Hi, I love the rose. Um, that could actually also be a generational curse. Is terrible eating habits. When everyone in your family is overweight and eats terribly, um, you grow up in that. And yes, it tastes good. It tastes amazing. If you know me, you know I love food. I freaking love it. But I recognize that in most, at least, with my mom and my grandmother, we did not eat out a lot at all. Like eating out was an actual treat. Most of the time, my mom cooked or my grandmother cooked, or the men in my family, they all know how to cook. Every single last one. My uncle Seville. I know his wife was on here, my Aunt Paula. If you're still on here, you can testify to that. My Uncle Seville, or Nelson, depends on which name you know him by. He can cook. Okay, some of the things that I've had, I've only had because he made them, and um, that is something that I think my family does do a little bit differently. Is that we cook, like, for real. Like, I can make noodles from scratch. I know how, because that was something that was mandatory. So that's more like ancestral karma. So ancestral karma, for those of you who don't know, hi Benji. Ancestral karma is positive and or negative things that happen to you based on the actions of your ancestors. So on the good side, having a family where real cooking was passed down, um, is an example of ancestral karma, where benefited greatly from that. My mom made sure that I knew how to cook. My grandmother made sure I knew how to cook. Uncles in my family, they made sure I knew how to do stuff for myself. But cooking is one of them. And we did not eat out a lot. I grew up in Southfield, which is on the south side of Columbus. And even to get to a fast food restaurant, you had to drive for a while. There's a McDonald's down there now. That thing was built in like I think they put that McDonald's down there in like 96. I was 11 already. We had a Sister's Chicken, the bomb, but we didn't get it that much. And if you're old enough to remember Sister's Chicken and you live in Columbus, if you know, you know. It's way better than KFC. Um, and there was like a Wendy's across the street from that on Williams and High Street. But like I said, we weren't about to waste no money on fast food. We were poor. We had food stamps, and food stamps wasn't going to pay for any type of fast food or any pizza or anything like that. I can't even remember really even having pizza as a kid until I was probably about 6 years old. Like that's my mom and I was going to Deschler Elementary, and my mom had ordered pizza. Like that was the first time I really remember having pizza. Is at 6. Um, and I think it was Papa Joe's. There's a Papa Joe's on Lockbourne. But that was just something my family did. They cooked. We all cooked for real. And we didn't cook a lot of fried stuff. There was a lot of baking going on. We still had some fried stuff, but it was a lot of baking as far as baking chicken, um, baking turkey, baking ham. We baked all the things. All the things got baked. And like I said, making noodles from scratch, my grandma did that all the time. So, food is definitely something that, and what we feed our children is very important. Don't give your kids a bunch of McDonald's. That's disgusting. Does anybody have anything else? Any other questions? Roxanne says spirituality has a lot to do with the life we put into our bodies. Every herb, yes. And a lot of people who are more spiritually in tuned definitely eat more fruit and vegetables, and it does help. It helps cleanse your body. Like you don't want to put too much in it. I'm not going to ever stop eating bacon. So now, if the ancestors tell me to stop eating bacon, I'll have to do it. But I'm hoping that that never happens because I really like pork. I love ham. It's one of my favorite things. My sister and I created a whole song for Christmas. Uh, if you remember No Air by Jordan Sparks and Chris Brown, we did No Ham. Tell me how I'm supposed to breathe with no ham. That's how that song went. So yeah, I love the bad things too, but we do have to be better at not so many bad things. Fruit and vegetables are our friend. All right. Does anybody have anything else? We're really at almost 2 hours, y'all. This has been really great. This was a lot easier than I was really, really nervous about this, but you guys have been great. You've brought up some very interesting points. Um, we talked about a lot of really good stuff here. So this was really fun. And if you have any other suggestions for lives going forward, if some of you are on my actual Facebook, so comment about that. I know, Roxanne, I'm sorry. Yeah, we've been on this live for an hour and 43 minutes now. I couldn't get it to stream right. I'm sorry. This was my first time. I'll do better next time, I promise, at making sure that it's more broadcast. I'll be able to go live from my YouTube too, so it'll fix some of the issues I had with getting the link out. So I apologize, Roxanne. Um, but yeah. So if you're watching this, I don't know where everybody's watching this. So if you're on my Facebook page, just go to my page and scroll my timeline. And I have links to our Facebook group on there. I have links to my YouTube on there. And in my YouTube, I have links to the other community stuff too. So if you just go to my YouTube, it's Enchanted Vibes on all social media. But if you go to YouTube, type in Enchanted Vibes and you'll see my face. If you type in something like ancestor veneration or something like that, Enchanted Vibes, ancestors, Enchanted Vibes, candles, Enchanted Vibes, read a damn book. Please, yeah, go watch that video. It says read a damn book because y'all need to read. Being smart is cool. It's cool to be smart. We're adults now. We all know better. We don't have to believe the lie that being smart is lame. Being smart's cool. Read some books, please. Education, knowledge is power, all that good stuff. Um, yes, Roxanne and Jen. Yes, Enchanted Vibes. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end this. This has been really fun. I see where somebody said I enjoyed this. I'm glad you enjoyed it. This has been fun. Now I see why Priestess can stay on this for 2 hours and talk. I didn't understand before, but now I get it, Priestess. You have my complete and total respect, even more than before, because um, now I see how these types of things can go on much longer when you leave it open. But I like open conversations. I don't want to just sit and talk to people, talk at people all the time. So hopefully next time we can get some people to join in with pictures and everything. We'll figure that out going forward. But this was really fun. I'm glad. Thank you. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it. And make sure you subscribe to all the things. Also, check out blackspectrumnetwork.com for those of you who are not already watching on that YouTube. Um, if you're interested in learning more about African spirituality, we have 3 different sections. We have a hoodoo section, a voodoo section, and Orisa hoodoo. So um, make sure you check that out. We have a lot of classes on there too. A lot of them are free. There's a link to the class website, so you can go to that. My particular coven, I'm in the Orisa Hoodoo coven. My Yanifa is amazing. She's letting me use her thing so I can stream this across all of our things. So thank you, Priestess Osun Funke. Thank you, Priestess Aoife Maloney, and all the priestesses in our program. You guys are amazing, amazing. I've learned so much from you in these short few months, and I'm really excited about the things that we have going on within our coven. Roxanne is in the coven, so thank you for joining me, Roxanne. I'm so proud of your progress, by the way. I know you're in L1 now, so I can't see you in L1, but I'm sure you're doing wonderful. So yeah, thank you guys for joining me. And there will be some more people going live this week in the coven with different topics. So make sure that you tune in to those as well. You'll have to find us on social media in order to do all that. But if you want to ask me, I'll be able to give you guys more information about all the other lives that'll be happening in the coming weeks. So it's going to be really amazing. We're going to be sharing a lot of information with the community, all for free. We're donating our time. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining me on my first live. I love you all. Hearts, 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 hearts. Thank you guys. And have a wonderful evening. Be safe out there. Some places it's very cold and the weather's gross. So please be safe and take care of yourselves. Peace.